All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the What's Next podcast, where we sit down with real estate agents, entrepreneurs, and business professionals to talk about tech, real estate, and everything interesting, really. I'm your host, Max Bergstrom, and this is What's Next. Let's go. We sit down with real estate agents and talk about how the industry is changing, thriving with technology. We look at strategy. We love it. Welcome to What's Next podcast. All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the What's Next podcast. It is my pleasure to be here with Thomas J. Nelson. He's an entrepreneur, a father, a rock star realtor, a musician, a podcast host, and a San Diego County enthusiast, to name just a few. Thomas, thanks for being here, man. How you doing?
Awesome, Max. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I never know what to expect because, real estate agents, there's a wide, range of personalities, but I got to say, I like the tats. I like the look. I like, you got the rock star vibe. So, instantly I kind of connected with you because, I know that we're both musicians and everything. So It's super cool. And you seem like a really, really interesting guy. So I'm really excited to have a conversation with you. But what was your initial reaction to the studio and everything? How's the experience been so far?
Oh, it's been awesome. You guys are very accommodating. It's a very professional studio. And you guys are a lot of fun. We were already laughing 5 seconds into walking into the place. So
yeah,
it's a good vibe here.
Yeah. That's always a good thing. And I think that we try to keep it light and fun and entertaining. So
it should be. Real estate should be too, by the way.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely talk. I can imagine just by your personality. When I saw, I was like, dude, I want this guy to be my real estate agent for sure. So, nice. That's what you want, right? That's the reaction that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. You just want to be who you are and have people, gravitate towards that and without putting on airs. That's why, I was telling one of their title reps, Courtney, I was telling her, years ago I took the tie off and stopped hiding the tattoos and kept the earrings in. And just said, this is me.
This is who you are.
Part of my life is being a musician, and I want to connect with other musicians, by the way. Musicians want to own homes too.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's huge. In fact, I have a real estate license as well, and I never really used it just because I didn't have the time, and frankly, I just wasn't that good. But I went to a couple of different brokers, and one of them was like, well, you should wear a suit and wear your hair this way, maybe cover the tattoos and do that. But then other people were like, no, dude, don't do that. You can focus, all these people in the music industry, right. You can build that and should build your brand around it. And so I'm just interested, what approach, how has this approach gone for you? Because I love how transparent you're, just what you see is what you get. This is me.
Yeah, well, because I want to be real with people, and I want people to trust me. And if you're starting out by being someone you're not, that's already breaking a trust, because that's just not who I am. Now, we all have a public self and a private self.
For sure.
But what I'm talking about is basically they're going to meet the real me, and I want to build that rapport and trust with them. So I figured it starts with how I present myself. Now, I'll dress up for certain things, but, and I'm not trying to be a slob, but I want to be casual because that's how I am, and I want people to feel comfortable around me so I can be who I am and get past that. Let's get down to finding out what they're after. What I want to learn about them. I want them to feel comfortable sharing.
Totally.
What their goals are, what their fears are.
Yeah.
What their strategy is, and so I think if you build rapport with people, it creates that trust a little quicker by just being being yourself. And you can't be all things to all people in real estate. I think that's the biggest mistake we make as agents when we first get in. We want to sell homes to everybody.
Yeah, right.
And what you learn as you go through it is, there's niches that naturally show up in your career that you gravitate towards, and you just got to be true to those and not worry about the other ones.
Yeah.
Let the other realtors that focus on that type of client get those clients. And you serve the clients that you enjoy serving.
Yeah, if there's a million targets, there's no way you can hit all of them, right?
Exactly.
So you have to kind of niche down and figure out, okay, this is my bread and butter right here.
Right.
Well, I love that. And from what I understand, based on some of the research I did, by the way, you have a great bio. I love how you make it so incredibly easy for somebody to connect with you, especially, folks that are my age and younger. We're going to Google you. Right. That's what people do.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's why, I was like, I know all about this guy now. From what I understand, your whole family was in real estate.
Yep.
Your grandfather, I mean, his name was Al, right? I mean, I know your grandfather's name, and you just met me.
Yeah, exactly.
God bless the intro net.
Yes.
But tell me about that. You know, you grew up in a real estate family. Your mom was, she built a whole community, and you grew up in the Bay Area. Is that right?
Yeah, I was born and raised in San Mateo in the San Francisco Bay Area on the peninsula, and I'm a third-generation realtor. My two grandmothers were both real estate agents and brokers. My two grandfathers helped them with the investment property, so they were both the handyman and the property managers, and dealt with
property management.
Exactly. So, I've seen both sides of real estate, from the sales side and from the property management side, and made a decision early that was definitely not what I was going to do. I wanted to be a musician, but early in my guitar background, I got into an accident and lost full function of my hands.
So you played guitar as well?
I started out playing guitar. I took guitar in high school and fell in love with music, and that was my instrument of choice. But when after my accident, I couldn't use my hands the way I normally could. I couldn't make chords, and it was frustrating.
I'll bet that was really hard.
Very frustrating. But here come the drums then, because all you got to do is grip the sticks, and as long as you have the grip. So I just pivoted, and that's kind of that was kind of the predecessor to real estate, teaching me that, things are going to come at you in life, and you got to learn to pivot with them, learn to live with them or rise above them. But, you can't sit there and complain about them. Huge. You certainly can't, stop in your tracks. So I just said, okay, guitar's not going to work, so I'll go to drums. Wasn't good enough drummer to get paid to do it. So I said, I need to get paid to play music. So I became a disc jockey, and I started out in nightclubs in San Francisco. Then luck plays a lot of roles in my life. I met the right guy who taught me how about mobile DJing and how you make way better money, and you get to travel, and you get to meet a variety of people. So I created a mobile DJ company.
And you're 19 at this time, by the way, right?
Yeah, I'm 19.
Yeah, that's when you created this business.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So I
was a complete screw up when I was 19. Like, dude, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was. Well, I think because of my family, I was born with an entrepreneur's heart. I always saw myself working for myself and working on something that I love to do. Like when the alarm clock goes off, you're happy to get up because you get to go do this, not I have to go do this. I've worked those jobs.
Yeah, you have life figured out if you can have that sort of attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's great, man.
Long story short, it led to what turned into a 30-year mobile DJ career, predominantly DJing weddings, and I learned how to run a business doing that. I learned how to work with people.
You learned how difficult wedding brides can be at weddings.
Although
grooms too, maybe, but I don't know. I've heard some stories. Tony is a filmmaker, videographer. You've done a lot of weddings, Tony. I bet you've got some horror stories we could swap later on from weddings you've done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very good ones. Embarrassing ones too.
But the cool thing about having that in a background is, and a lot of people always scratch their head when I say this, being a wedding disc jockey prepared me for being a realtor. Because if you think about it, I'm being hired to work a very expensive day where a lot of people have to come together and work in concert to make one goal happen for this couple spending a lot of money. And that's exactly what people are doing when they're buying a house. They're having a bunch of professionals come together and make that escrow close so they can have their chance at the American dream by owning a home or selling a home.
Yeah.
And so it was a good prep. And so there was an overlap, of course. I've been a realtor for 22 years. And if you do the math, I've been at one time both.
For sure. Yeah.
But, then at some point.
So, not to interrupt you guys, but I'm curious about this because I'm fascinated by people that can operate at a high enough level to do this. But if you were doing your entertainment company full time, and you were also real estate agent, and I know that you can't really do real estate part time if you want to be successful.
Correct.
So, how were you able to do both of those things and be successful at that?
Well, what I knew real estate was going to be my long-term play, but I wanted to DJ as long as I possibly could before, I got to that age where it looked ridiculous that I was a DJ. You don't want your DJ to have gray hair, but you don't mind having your realtor have gray hair. So what I was doing was I was deliberately limiting the amount of clients I worked with as a realtor so I could do as many gigs as I could as a DJ.
Sure.
Then when real estate literally just like in around 2010, it was obvious I had to make a choice. Real estate was not I was getting more referrals and I couldn't turn them away because they were referrals. So I couldn't limit my client base anymore. So I said, okay, it's time to start looking at retiring as a DJ and going full-time as a realtor and only as a realtor.
Got it.
So,
Got it.
But you know, for a long and as long as it didn't interfered with the other, that's when I could I continued to do them both. But the second I could see down the road, going, this is going to start becoming unmanageable, and I want to get out while I'm on top as a DJ and have not goofed anything up as a realtor in the process.
Okay, yeah. So that's, and then you started working with your mom?
Yeah, back in 98 is I started kind of interning for my mom, who was...
What was that like, working with your mom? Like, did that work out
humbling? Well? Because at work, you know, when you're at home, it's like, you know, you can say whatever you want with mom, but at work, you know, she's the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, it was a different vibe. Yeah. But you know, I gained a lot of respect for her because I didn't realize what was involved in real estate. You know, I'd only seen it from afar, and you know, and I worked in the property management side. But you know, that's a glamorous way of saying, you know, I unclogged toilets and built fences and painted houses.
Right.
So when I saw what she did, and when I saw her, you know, buying homes, tearing them down, and rebuilding 3 units where one house used to be, or buying raw land and putting up 10 units and naming the community and creating an HOA. You know, she was into development deals and luxury real estate and still doing, you know, blue collar real estate too.
So she kind of had her hand in everything.
She did. And I also saw how she interacted with her clients, and that taught me early on, relationships are super important.
Yeah.
So I used that as a model. And now it didn't end up working out for us to work together, mostly because technology kind of scared her. And so as I was coming into real estate as a licensed agent in 99, that's when like the MLS book went away and it became computerized, and technology was becoming a part of the everyday experience of being a realtor.
Right.
Which for me was perfect because I was young enough to adopt it and just embrace it. And for her, it was kind of more of a turnoff. She'd already been in the career for 20 years. So for her, she was starting to phase out and I was starting to ramp up. And so we had different goals.
Yep.
So I formed a team with another agent in the office, and that was my first kind of experience of partnering with someone and figuring out a team experience with another agent, and starting with having common work ethics and common goals.
Okay, and then it looks like you're married.
Yes.
And you've got kids.
I have a son, Wyatt.
Wyatt.
Yeah, he's 24. He's up in the Bay Area right now. He's actually in the police academy. He's going to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wants to be a police officer.
All right.
Like his grandfather and his uncle.
Gotcha. So a San Francisco cop.
Yeah, anywhere.
Tell him to watch Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
You can learn. Listen, I'm saying this to the audience now. You can learn everything about being a police officer from watching Dirty Harry movies. All right, isn't that exactly how it is in real life?
Well, I'm sure that's the way we wish it was.
Right?
There's
That's
a little
really
more
cool,
red tape these days.
Yeah, definitely. He probably doesn't carry around a 44 Magnum either. I don't think that's the issue.
No.
But that's really cool. What, was he like always when he was little? Was he like, I want to be a cop, or like, sometimes kids are.
No, he grew up. I'm so proud of him because he's the total opposite of me. He's a total athlete. He's in way better shape than me.
Yeah.
He's a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
He's very even keeled, low key mindset.
Yep.
So he's the perfect mindset for being a police officer. But he's always been, football, rugby, military. He looked
he's
at
a
the
tough
military.
guy.
Yeah, but a gentle giant.
Sure.
Yes.
But he can take. He
can handle
built
himself.
for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I see. I've got a 4-year-old daughter, and if she wants to go into music, I'll support it. But when I think about it, I'm like, God, no. I hope you're like more secure and not, become like, I don't know, an engineer or something like that, But, obviously, you try not to force things on your kids, and they got to learn for themselves. So, that's great. I'm glad that he's doing well. And you moved down here with your family in 2003.
Yes, we came down in November of 2003, and I'm proud to say we're one of those people that came down here on vacation and basically never left. We vacationed here in July of 2003, and in November of 2003, we were moving in. So we literally went back and said, we're moving to San Diego. And everyone's like, yeah, right. And when the moving truck showed up, I can remember my mom pulling up going, what are you doing? And I go, I told you we're moving.
Yeah.
And nobody believed us that we were going. And they're like, why are you moving? And I go to San Diego and it'll explain itself.
Yeah, I did that in 26. I did the same thing in 26. I took a vacation here in 2015. Then I came here as a stop on my honeymoon. And then within 5 months from there, we were like, we're moving to San Diego.
I love this town. It's just my favorite place. I traveled a lot, and I've got a nice passport full of stamps, but I love coming home to San Diego. I love this town.
Absolutely. So no plans to move then?
No. We just bought another house here. We're investing in San Diego.
Cool. So you're with Big Block.
Yes, Big Block Realty.
Okay, so then tell me a little bit about. What do you do that's, and we were talking about kind of niching. Do you have a specific niche? Do you offer something unique that you feel that other, agents don't offer?
Sure.
What's your process like with your clients?
Well, in a couple of ways, I offer unique things. First of all, I do have a focus, and it's the military. I love working with my VA clients. So I run a VA networking group for the Chamber of Commerce.
Awesome.
I have a published VA program. So there's discounts for buyers. There's rebates for sellers.
That's great.
I take care of, I always say I'm serving those that serve us.
Yeah.
So,
for sure. Family in the military?
A lot. I'm a military family.
Mine as well.
My great-grandfather, grandfather, uncles.
Yep.
From World War I to Vietnam.
Yep, same with me.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's admirable, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have an affinity for the military because of that. And so that's my focus. And then outside of the military, obviously I serve, non-vets as well. And what I bring that's unique is there's a coaching company here in Carlsbad, Buffini and Company. And they started out right here in Mission Valley, actually, with Brian Buffini. And I met Brian. I always say that the luckiest month of my year is October, because I met my wife and Brian Buffini both in October of '99. And I married my wife in October of 2002. So it's a good month. And my son was born in October.
Nice.
So,
and you were on the What's Next podcast
in October. How about that?
Just kidding.
See the tie-in?
I'm just kidding.
Long story short, though, because of the coaching, I've been in coaching for 21 years. People say, wow, slow learner. No, it's just that, times change, techniques change.
You're a lifelong learner.
A lifelong learner.
Absolutely.
And so what I bring that's unique is that constant training. It's my network. I have a team that covers all of Southern California. So if somebody comes to me and says, I want to look at Temecula, Chula Vista, and downtown, I say, great. You're going to be with my teammate in Chula, my teammate up in Temecula. I'll handle downtown. None of us are competing with each other. We're all here to serve you.
Yeah, for sure.
Wherever you decide to buy, that person will close the deal, and the other two will give them a cheer.
It's about helping you. It's interesting too. Buffini. So I was when I had the license but not doing any real estate. I was with a couple of different brokerages, and some of them did Mike Ferry was like the really big thing, and like I tried those scripts, and I was like talking with my brokers. I was like, so you want me to call people I know and just straight up say, hi, who do you know that wants to buy a home in the next 3 to 6 months? Okay, well, and I was like, they're not going to respond to that. Like, they're going to be like, dude, Max, why are you doing?
What do you want?
You know what I mean? And so, and I'm not saying the scripts aren't good and that they don't work, but I'm just like, people are going to be like, dude, are you a rope? Like, it's me. Remember, I was at your wedding. You know what I'm saying? So Buffini, it's, I know that, a lot of people are like, oh, it's real soft and all this stuff. But I mean, no, like his whole methodology is about, literally taking an interest in the person as a person.
A relationship.
Because if you do that, then yes, of course they're going to want you to do business with them. So I always resonated far more with that side of things. And, so it's just really interesting that.
Well, and that's the good thing about having a variety of coaches out there is, there are I'm the black sheep at Big Block. We are a Mike Ferry company.
Oh, really?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
And so, and I never go to those events. I can't sell that.
It's just not who I am.
No, it's like we were talking about earlier, you showing up as your authentic self. I can't script people. I have to talk from my own voice and my own experience, and that's either good enough or it's not, but that's okay.
Which is the most authentic thing you could possibly do, by the way.
I think so. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But there are people that are very successful with those scripts. So, and I've checked out Ferry because I don't believe in being, a follower. I'm a student, and and a student will look at other instructors and experience other teachers. They won't just follow one guru.
For sure. Yeah. But you got to critically think, right?
Correct.
And I like Tom Ferry.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't like Mike Ferry. I can't do that like hardball, just right to the butt. But Tom Ferry is kind of like a little more in the middle.
Yeah, he's a little softer.
He's a little softer, but he's still, that go, that hustle, and you know what I mean? So, but anyhow, I digress. I know exactly what you mean. And so, the value of coaching, every single agent and really any successful person that I've had on this podcast always talks about the value of coaching.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what is coaching taught you? Do you do how do you stay so sharp? What's your mindset like? What's your morning routine like? What does your day look like? I mean, how do you keep being you and doing well?
Yeah. And I want to just start out by saying this is what works for me. It's not something that would work for everyone, because you gotta find your own groove. But my day starts, my day changed and now starts with the Miracle Morning. I read the Miracle Morning, and that just changed everything for me. It gave me a set routine to do in the morning just to start my day off. And it's funny, I find that as a musician, you hate discipline, but there's a discipline to music, you know, and so, you might hate to practice, but the metronome's your friend when you're practicing. Totally. And, maybe not in concert.
Some drummers get insulted, right? Yeah. See, my band, we play to a click live.
Oh, okay.
Because we have tracks and all that stuff. But I've talked with drummers like, well, you don't think I can keep time? I'm like, no, it's not that. It's just that if you do this, it's perfect.
Right.
So,
yeah, and it's the same with your routine. So that to me is my metronome in the morning. Is I do my Miracle Morning routine, and then I do what I'm hating to do the most first to get it out of the way. Eat the frog, exactly. Yep. So I do my follow-ups, my COO work. So it's okay. I'm going to reach out and connect with people on updates and do things that more paperwork generated, more due diligence generated things, and then I take a break. Usually do something physical. I go for a walk. And then, or I'll just go out and garden. I work from home now ever since COVID.
Yeah, well, I noticed the gardening thing too.
Yeah, I love working in the garden. So I'll take a break and go work in the garden for maybe a half hour. And then I go back and then I do what I think is the fun part, which is some might call it prospecting, but I reach out to my clients. And these are clients that the COO work is the clients that are active. The CEO work is when you're reaching out as a rainmaker and you're staying in touch with clients from the past. We're not in a deal. I'm not calling you to see if you want to buy or sell anything. No. I'm just checking in with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you worked with me at one point, and now I'm checking in on you. How's things going? How's the house? Any questions? Anything I can be doing for you? Things like that. Just staying in touch.
Totally.
And that also makes my client appreciation events attended better because I've stayed in touch with them all year. They're not just getting this invite once a year to I haven't heard from them
remember me? We talked last May. Right. I sold you a house.
Yeah. And see, I do an annual event every year this time of year. I do it usually pre-Thanksgiving. We do a nice gratitude gathering. And now we haven't been able to do it because of COVID. So this year we're actually pivoting again, we're doing small house parties at my home to give people a smaller crowd to come and with their COVID concern, there's not 80 people, there's only 20.
Yeah.
But in years past, what we do is every year, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, I have a gratitude gathering. We get together at Lacadia Pizza. It's just pizza and salads and drinks.
Sweet.
It's kind of the anti-Thanksgiving meal. And then we have a raffle, we socialize, and then I give away Julian pies to everyone for coming.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's just a nice pre-Thanksgiving thank you. It's a gratitude gathering. Thank you for another year of referrals.
Yep.
Thank you for another year of business.
Yep.
So it's just that whole kind of community concept. It sounds so simple, but it is unique because there's not a lot of realtors doing that consistently. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't a realtor doing it consistently beginning. 21 years of coaching with Buffini, a good 11, 12 of those years, I struggled with that until I found what worked for me, and then I just ran with it. Yep. But the biggest joy I get is when you connect with clients and you're not in a transaction, but they're glad to hear from you.
Totally.
Or they call you and say, I need a referral to a painter, or we're thinking about doing a remodel. What do you think of the project we're going to work on?
Right.
And they feel comfortable staying in touch with you.
Totally. And also because you are your authentic self, they feel like they're able to build that relationship with you.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like that's huge.
Yeah. And it doesn't work with everyone. I mean, there are some clients I get that they're like, thank you, good job, see you later. And I respect that. I'm not trying to be everyone's best friend, but I am trying to just remain available and in touch to the extent that they want that. So, and it varies. So you have to know your clients. You have to know who wants that and who might not want it so much.
I love that, man. That's excellent. Well, so you seem like you're pretty savvy with online marketing and different marketing tactics and things like that. So how are you, what are you doing on social media? Are you doing stuff with Big Block? Do they have the systems that are set up, or do you do your own, give me the rundown on kind of how you market to that space, or are you mostly just doing outbound stuff on the phone and mailers? What works for you?
No, I do a little bit of everything. I mean, one of the things I started doing early in my career is always working with assistants that were much younger than me, so that they kept me fresh. They kept me in touch with technology and what's the latest. So I've gotten a lot of good info actually from some of my assistants over the years. So it's a combination of traditional stuff. I still do a monthly e-report that goes out digitally.
Sure.
I do a monthly mailer that goes out hard copy, postcards. I do little infographics, social media wise, all the time.
I saw on your Instagram, you had a lot of different, bits of information,
right?
And, stuff
just
like that.
Little quick tastes of, to provoke bigger questions and conversations for offline.
Sure.
And then, I have a blog that I do religiously every day.
Really?
Yeah, I'm with Active Rain. It's Active Rain is the largest real estate blog site in North America. There's over 300,000 agents on it. And that is a fantastic source of business, because I could be sitting there bragging this morning about how on fire the San Diego market is, but somebody on the East Coast is going, really? Because our market's kind of doing this. And somebody down in Florida is going, oh, but this is happening here. So you get this immediate feedback on what's going on around the country and up in Canada even.
Sure.
So it's been a good sounding board to stay in touch with not just the San Diego local market, but what's going on in real time, not the media version, but from boots on the ground.
Yeah, it's always good to have, more knowledge is always good.
So, and we do videos, I have a YouTube channel. I'm on hiatus with my podcast now, but I've had 2 podcasts. The reason I took a break is because one of our teammates is doing a podcast right now, and I stepped back just to let him have his moment in the sun. I didn't want to compete with him, and we're getting some good feedback from that. So we're letting him do that for now. But podcasting definitely, and just a variety of things. So I try to mix
tell
it
me
up.
about it's just for everybody. You got to go check out. It's the Mail Right Real Estate Agent podcast or show, right? And it looks like you guys kind of it's for the agent.
Yeah, no, Mail Right was the first one I started. I actually was a guest on it.
Okay,
and then 2 weeks later, the host called me and says, "Hey, can you fill in? I liked what you had to say, and my co-host isn't here." And so I filled in, and then the next week and 3 years went by, and I just did the podcast for 3 years with him. Then he wanted to go all tech. And I said, well, I want to keep it entrepreneurial too. And so we were starting to have a difference of opinion of where the direction of the show went. So I broke off and started a new podcast, and Postcards from Success. And that's the one that I was doing on my own.
Gotcha. Postcards from
Yeah. And then my
That's
buddy.
a clever name.
Thanks.
Oh, by the way, Tony, you're fired. Thomas, you're in. Okay. Tony, just,
It's a rough business, Tony. Sorry, man. You better get used to it.
It is what it is. It's okay.
But yeah, it's, the other thing too is, it's not just the podcast, it's a lot of interviews and information to share, but it was also to highlight local businesses.
Yeah.
That was always my desire, is to bring business owners on and interview them and highlight their business and let people hear their story.
Yeah, totally.
The way you're talking to me about my story, I wanted to do that with other people because there's so many fantastic stories in the entrepreneurial and the small business world of San Diego.
Yeah.
And I think that's inspirational, and it helps people, if there's a lot of doubts when you're starting a new business.
Yeah.
And so hearing other people's stories and how they struggled and overcame it.
Yeah.
That it just inspires people to go for it. Because I think that's, the bravest thing in the world to me as an entrepreneur. I mean,
totally.
Especially like in real estate, we wake up unemployed every morning until we make a sale happen. And that,
there's no guarantee, right?
No guarantee.
Well, and to your point, I mean, about, your story being able to help other people. Like, I always harp on content, and people are like, I'm kind of a private person. And it's like, I get that, but you may have something to say that would help somebody else.
Right.
And I'll give you the perfect example is I literally, I personally, I tend to be a tad on the insecure side. And when I work in the corporate area, especially in real estate, I always think to myself, like, maybe I should comb my hair different. Maybe I should take my earrings out. Maybe I shouldn't be, this way or that way. And so even seeing you, like, you've literally helped me just with your story about, it's okay to show up and be yourself. Cause I actually struggle with that a lot. I always think, like, if I show up in a certain way, like, is this person going to be, like, who's this 36-year-old guy? What is he? This isn't appropriate. You know what I mean? And that's really hard.
Well, I think we've all struggled with that, and I think you just get to a point, maybe it's just age, I don't know. I mean, but you just get to a point where you're like, you know what, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And those that appreciate that, let's work together.
What you see is what you get.
And those that don't, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be all things to all people.
Right.
And so the people that naturally gravitate to you are going to be more fun to work with anyhow.
Yes, and I think age has something to do with it. It does, because I remember, like, my aunt she used to say, she's like, I'm 60 years old. I don't need to make any more friends. I'm going to tell you exactly what I feel.
Yeah.
There's power in that.
Well, it's, when you're in your 20s and 30s, you worry about what other people are thinking.
Right.
You get in your 40s and you start being preoccupied and you kind of get distracted. And then when you get your 50s, you're like, you realize nobody was thinking about you anyhow.
No, everybody's thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
They're thinking about themselves.
Exactly.
Whatever you do, however you show up, they're going to be, for 3 seconds, they might think about it,
Right.
but then it's on to my problems and my things and my life and my this and my that. Totally. I totally get that. So, all right. So we covered the marketing part. What about technology? That's the big thing. We're the What's Next podcast. We like to look, forward and talk about how technology is changing how real estate is done and all of that. But, what do you use? What is big, like, how do you use tech in your business?
So, for me, it started way back in '99 when I got started, when we went computerized, and then I invested in one of the first wireless modems. I remember it was this big walkie-talkie that you Velcroed to your laptop, and it doubled the weight. But I've always been I like the gadgets. If it improves, not just for Flash, but it has to improve my my ability to work.
It.
Right.
Yeah.
So and then I remember when DocuSign came in, and that was a lifesaver, especially because that came in during the crash, and you're writing 100 offers, and everything from using, I'm always using Matterports and drones for my listings, because I like to, every listing gets treated the same. I don't care if it's a condo or a mansion, they get the same marketing, because I want the consistent branding and the same opportunity for all my sellers.
There you go.
So, and anything that's coming out in that way, we're looking at things coming out, the virtual reality things and AI. I don't use it for any kind of prospecting. I'm not a big fan of auto dialers, and calling 9 people at the same time and whoever answers. I know that works for some people. Sure. It's just, again, not me.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that's going to call you, and but so I go to enough training events where I at least check it out, whatever the latest and greatest is. But, you run into that, that shiny object syndrome in this industry. Everyone's trying to sell you everything.
Yep.
And you have to, and over the years, you buy enough magic beans that don't grow a beanstalk. And so you go, okay.
Does it have value?
Right.
Is there any value in it?
Right. And is there staying power? Is this something that, is the next thing coming out?
I do that with my phone all the time.
Yeah.
I'll go through my phone and I'll be like, why do I have like 60 apps on here? But it's so crazy. Like, consumerism, I'm like, I like have trouble. I'm like, I want to delete this app, and but maybe I might.
Fear of
it's
missing
like
out.
no, like this is just ridiculous. And so I always so does it actually have value? So that's great. So you the technology you use is to add value to the human experience as opposed to like replace it or just because, the new thing is like this. So I got to dive into this fad now. And
it's just to make me, I mean, you talk about the apps. I have a lot of apps on my phone that I use for real estate. Mm-hmm. It's so that I can run my office from my phone from afar. So if a client wants to write an offer or needs to submit a counter offer or whatever, I don't have to go back to my office. If I can do everything I do in my office from my car, from my phone, it makes me more efficient for my client and for myself. Those are the things I'm interested in. If it adds value to my client or to my business, I'm into it. But if it's just for flash, I tend to stray away from it because they don't often have staying power. I mean, I can remember when there was guys selling these radios that like you put a radio in the house and it's the talking house and you had to buy all these receivers and you had the signs and everything, and that lasted for about a minute after you spent thousands of dollars.
Totally.
And so you learn from making those mistakes over the years that some of the stuff isn't gonna improve anything.
Yeah, and I mean now, like it's like hyper targeted now. I mean, you can just search something, and then there's a million different companies. Like
it all follows you.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy.
Yeah, and realtors are the worst because I mean, or salespeople are the worst because we love to buy things.
Absolutely. Well, that's great, and I love that. I think that you have a good balance of marketing and social media and videos and using tech. So that's great. I mean, it's definitely my opinion that the people that are leveraging. I mean, it's not going away.
No,
right? It's not going to go away.
You got to embrace it.
So leverage it how you can. That's great. Well, listen, before we get into really your predictions for where the industry is going, I want to play a little. Do a little segment I like to call "Finish the Sentence," just for people to get to know. Even though you seem like you're a very transparent guy, but these are basically I'm just going to ask you some rapid fire. I'm going to say some sentences and then you just finish them.
All right,
it's kind of fun, super easy.
Yeah.
And before I forget the DocuSign thing that you were talking about, in the tech, I should introduce you. Have you ever heard of New Venture Escrow before?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've met Courtney Lewis, but
I kind of work with them a lot.
Oh yeah. Oh well, fantastic. All right. Well, let's get into the segment here. So finish the sentence. Here we go. If I wasn't a realtor, I would be
a musician.
Boom. I love that. My mom thinks I'm the best at
being a pain in the ass.
That's the best answer. You and my mom should get together and go antiquing or something. They'd have a lot to talk about. My go-to vacation spot is
Italy.
Love that. My favorite thing to eat is
fish tacos. Thank you, San Diego.
Right?
Yeah.
Are they not as good up in the Bay?
I didn't even hear of them in the Bay. The first time I ever had a fish taco was here. Never heard of them.
Yeah.
Thought, ooh, that sounds gross. Now it's like all I eat. I'm addicted.
Yeah. What's that? I moved from Minnesota, and I moved here, and I was getting really weird. The first time I ate fish tacos here, I was in the restaurant, and I think I looked like I was having a spiritual experience. And like the wait staff was like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
I was like, "What is this?" And they were like, "Jalapeno sauce," and I was like, oh my God. Like I was just like, my mind was blown. So I totally get you there. My favorite hangout spot is
San Diego, of course.
San Diego. Love it. The best drink in the world is.
Oh gosh. I'm going to have to say a vodka tonic. That's a realtor's best friend at 5 o'clock.
5 a.m. or p.m.?
Well, it depends on the day.
Just kidding. On the weekends, you can find me.
Oh man, hiking anywhere in San Diego. San Diego's got some of the best.
So you go up on the trails.
Oh
and
yeah, I love hiking.
What about like snakes and like mountain lions and
That's why you bring a friend and you tell them to go first. They flush them out.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's savage, but that's a good idea. Yeah. You're like, I don't have to outrun the mountain lion. I just got to outrun you.
That's it. The same theory.
I love it. All right. The craziest thing I've ever done to one of my exes is.
Oh my God. Oh, that's a stumper. I don't think I've done anything crazy to an ex. Because I grew up before social media and I've been married for over almost 19 years. So
Got it.
I think I have to pass on that one. Cool. I haven't.
That's fair. I have the best day ever when
oh man, when my bride and I are doing something fun in San Diego, playing tourist, doing staycation stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you do staycations, keep it interesting.
Yeah, especially the last couple years with the pandemic, we've learned to
kidding.
really reappreciate San Diego. We've stayed in some of the marquee hotels, you know, the ones you always drive by and go, oh, we should stay there one time. We've done that the last couple of years. So
it probably does great things for your marriage too. That's really important.
Yeah. She's my travel buddy. We love traveling.
Awesome. I've never told anyone that I
love playing music more than selling real estate, but real estate's fun.
All right. Well, now you've told somebody that.
I have.
All right. I like it. How about this? The craziest thing one of my clients ever asked me to do was...
Oh my God. That just came to me like a lightning bolt because a client I was showing a house to fell in love with the owner's dog and wanted me to negotiate getting the dog. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
You want me to write the dog in the contract?
Yeah, I'm like, how do you even do that? I'm like, no. So that was a weird conversation, but they were dead serious. They want to find out if they're taking the dog with them. And I'm like, you know, and as a dog owner, I'm like, you know, I would,
they're probably taking the dog.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a fixture.
Yeah, but I had to seriously ask the owner if they would leave the dog. And of course, the owner gave me the look I was expecting I'd get.
Yeah, like, are you insane? You're like, I'm a fiduciary to my client.
What kind of a sales guy are you?
Exactly.
You heartless bastard.
Right? That is crazy. That's a good one. The best Seinfeld character is...
Oh, God. You know, that's a toss-up because... One of my favorites, it's Newman, I think, because
Newman's good.
I love Newman because I know Kramer's the go-to probably, but I love Newman because he's just, he sometimes he wins and sometimes he loses, but he always comes back from
shows.
more. Yeah. So I mean, there's just something about the fact that he never gives up, no matter what happens to him.
Newman. All right, I love that. My favorite superhero is.
Oh man, you know. I grew up with Adam West and Batman.
Yeah.
I mean, but the original Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
The one where you can actually understand what he's saying, not the I'm Batman.
Yeah. There's been some, we have talks about just the other day, in fact, Levi and Tony and I were sitting here and Tony said that Christian Bale is the best Batman and Levi and I both disagreed and said Michael Keaton was the best Batman. Now, I don't know. It's definitely debatable.
It's an age gap. That's why.
Yeah, Tony. Tony. That's what Tony always says. It's an age gap. He doesn't just do that with anything I don't know. He calls it the 5-year gap since I'm 5 years older than him. And then he tried telling me that millennials were segmented into 3 different categories: older millennials, and he's I'm a younger one. You're an older one.
They are.
Get out of here with this kind of stuff,
That
dude.
is true.
Yeah, it's he's a real nice guy. Anyways, I like Batman as well. That's fantastic. And those there's a certain charm those old school Adam West Batmans have.
I mean, he was dancing with go-go dancers.
Right.
I mean, Christian Bale never did that.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. All right. My favorite thrill-seeking activity is
skydiving. I love skydiving. I did it. I made the mistake of telling my wife once that I wanted to do that and thinking, it would pass, and I got it for my birthday, and then I was like, oh, crap, now I got to do this. And it was the most thrilling thing I've ever done. So, and if it's not jumping out of them, it's flying them. I'm a student pilot, so I love flying planes.
Okay.
I fly here out of San Diego.
What don't you do, man? Like, you're kind of making me feel like a chump over here.
I'll tell you what I don't do. I don't let my clients down. That's what I don't do.
You heard it from, you know what? You know what came to my mind? Have you ever, the character on the 1991, I believe, movie My Girl, Thomas J, played by Macaulay Culkin,
yes.
who gets stung to death by bees. I'm not trying to bum out the world, but
where are we going here?
I was like, Thomas J. I was writing your name up on the board, and I was like, wasn't that character named Thomas J? So has anybody ever mentioned that to you before?
You are the first. Congratulations. Delayed reaction.
Thank you. Yeah, you see the chemistry there, though. I looked at. Oh, he was like, oh,
he had to flip you off first. Then he really the crowd knows.
Anyways, not to derail what we were talking about. The last finished sentence I have for you is: I want people to remember me as someone who
put their needs ahead of my own professionally. I want them to know I truly care about them. The hardest thing I think in my business is trying to be genuine before they're ready for you to be genuine. You know, you have to ease into people when you're building a relationship, even if they're a referral. So I just think that, you know, that I honestly care about them and their success in what they're trying to accomplish, whether it's buy, sell, or invest. And so just that, you know, I truly do, you know, it's, you're trying to impact and improve the lives of others, as Buffini would say. Mm-hmm. And that's true in real estate. You're just, you know, I want to make a difference in their life, and I want them to look back on that as something, you know, even like when I was the wedding DJ, you know, that I helped contribute to a magical day for them. And in real estate, I helped contribute to a big moment in their life, you know, achieving that house. Because, you know, I've bought a few homes in my career. I just bought one this summer. It doesn't go away. The thrill of buying a house is amazing. When you close, you know, whether it's your first house or your fifth house, that, you know, I can remember my wife when we were closing, getting all giddy. Have we closed yet? Have we closed yet? Can you call them? Can you check? I'm like, baby, please, I can't, you know, of all people, I can't call them and ask them that. It's going to look bad, you know? Right. But, you know, you get excited. So, and I just, but I want them to know that you know, that it's something that I'm doing with them. I'm not doing to them. Yep. And it's not just get another deal closed. You know, ultimately, if I can't close a deal with an advocate, it's a waste of time, because then you're not really building a career. It's the advocacy that comes from how you treated people and how you served them. Yep. That builds the career.
Totally. That's profound. Really, really like that. Well, you guys heard it here from Thomas J. Nelson. And if you are a buyer and the seller, you really like the seller's dog, then hey, he'll write it in the contract, baby. Before we go out here, give me a couple sentences on, you know, do you think the role of the real estate agent is going to change because of all this technology in the next 10 to 20 years? Like,
that's a good question.
What's the ramifications of this?
Well, you know, the principles in real estate never change. It's the technology that changes. So the role of a realtor is always going to be the same, to represent their client, to do the best they can to get, you know, as a seller, get the highest price, as a buyer, get the lowest price, you know, get the best results for your client. All that is going to always be the same. People come to us because they need guidance, they need help. They need someone to navigate them through this process. That what's going to change is how we do it, maybe a little bit. You know, the technology we use to assist, but it's an assist. Yep. You know, the technology. You could take away all the technology, and I can still help you buy a home. You know, I always tell people, they're like, I can't find it on Zillow, and I'm like, we're not on Zillow yet.
You can just call me, you know.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, we sold homes long before there was a Zillow. Yeah. So the technology is great as an assist, but we don't rely on it. Yep. You know, at the end of the day, all I need is a client that's willing and a house that's able, and we can close a deal. You know, I love serving people. I love negotiating deals. I love marketing. You know, it's fun. That's all fun. Yeah. Especially when you're doing it for someone that you really enjoy working for. You know, that's why I love working by referral instead of buying leads, because the people typically, good people refer good people.
They sell you for you.
You're right. So it's
awesome.
So yeah, that's I think ultimately our role as a realtor is not changing, but some of the technology and the tools will always change, and those that roll with those changes are going to be more successful. I mean, you can't fight it, and honestly, I think technology's done wonders for real estate. I love what technology's done overall. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always going to be some negatives, but that's with anything. So I mean, you just got to learn to navigate it.
Roll with it. I couldn't have put that better myself. Well, look in the camera nice and pretty and let everybody know, where can we connect with you? How do you want to be reached? You know, where can we check out your content? Let them all know. Sure.
I'm Thomas J. Nelson with Big Block Realty right here in San Diego, California. Conveniently, my website is thomasjnelsonrealtor.com. You can also find me on Facebook under Thomas J. Nelson Realtor, and all other social media sources, LinkedIn included. Or you can do, the old-fashioned thing and call me or text me at 858-232-8722. And I'll be happy to talk to you in a non-sales environment. I'm a consultant first, so if you have questions, call me. I'm not going to beat you over the head with a sale. Happy to answer your questions, but if you're ready to go, so am I.
Awesome. I love that. And then if you guys like this episode, you can check us out at www.thewhatsnextpod.com. We're on Instagram and Facebook at the What's Next Pod, and then on YouTube as well. Go ahead, like, share, follow, subscribe, all that awesome stuff. And then if you want to call, you can call, but call Tony. Don't call me. Call Tony, and let him know that let him know how he's doing. All right, because what I like to do is at the end of every show, I like to ask Tony to provide some last words of wisdom for our guest and for the audience. So, Tony, I'm going to put you on the spot, man. What do you have before we roll out here? Any last words of wisdom?
Last words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a new one. I usually ask me to say something about the guest, but I don't know.
Well, you can say something about the guest
something
too.
of wisdom. Go check him out. Go check out his website and all his social platforms. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Tony.
That would be a wise move, right?
That would be a wise move.
Very well done.
And also, I just want to say hi to Levi Quesada. It's a good friend of mine. And
Shout out to Levi.
shout out to Levi. Yeah.
I want to shout out to Courtney too.
Shout out to Courtney Lewis. They may or may not be in this room, this very room with us right now.
They might not.
And I have to say thank you and a big shout out to my favorite escrow officer here at New Venture, and that is Candy Miller. Thank you, Candy, for being awesome.
Candy Miller. Yep, absolutely. Let's round of applause for sure for that one. Awesome, brother. Well, listen, it was great to have you on the show. Tony, go ahead and take us out. I think we'll wrap this one up. We sit down with real estate agents and talk about how the industry is changing, thriving with technology. We look at strategy. We love it. Welcome to What's Next podcast.